All right, today is January 26th. This is SIG Scalability. Alejandro here. I'll be hosting for today because Bob and Aaron are out. Okay. So Tim, you said you had some agenda items you want to look over?
What's the first one? The first agenda item is documentation. I don't know if the first item there that says, what is the recommended path for installation and upgrades? I don't know if that's kind of in our charter, right? That's more cluster ops and cluster lifecycle.
That's also from last week, isn't it?
I don't know. I do know that we had discussed the idea of coming up with a sizing guideline for the 1.6 release. And we had mentioned before that the SCD folks had been creating documentation around both the sizing guideline and the initial installation. I think this upgrade thing might have been with regards to etcd.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so let's path for. And I don't know if Hung Chao wanted to speak to that at all. I know Jiyoung created the initial document, but I'm kind of, I read through the document. Has other folks know where the link is for that document?
Can you please paste it to the doc? I didn't yet have time. I think that I've seen it somewhere, but I didn't have time then, and I lost it, I think.
Let me paste it in the document. What I'm mildly terrified about, which is a good thing to be terrified about, is that, you know, Red Hat and Google have like automation in place to handle some of this stuff, right? But the average person who has a cluster, it's like the Wild West out there, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And the guide is going to be a little difficult for, I think it's a little treacherous for folks to be able to navigate that path out in the wild, right? So we're kind of entering into this weird territory now where we need to care a lot about what people do outside of the scope of our individual companies.
Yeah, I agree. We need a very clear guide. And I think that one thing of doing is basically write every single step that we are doing, like document every single step that we are doing so that people at least know how we are doing it.
Well, then we have that question about what kind of detail are we asking for, right?
I think the one thing that might help us here too is that that's kind of the whole point of cluster ops, right? Essentially, we should probably loop them in maybe into our next meeting, or maybe go to their meeting, one or the other. Maybe I missed that. I couldn't hear it.
I think the meeting's today at 1, so we can do that this afternoon.
Okay. Let me add that to my to-do list today, and I'll go to that meeting. I already have enough meetings. Might as well just blow my whole day on meetings. And I'll talk with them, because trying to get something done in between the half hour between all my meetings is kind of a fruitless exercise. And see how that goes. Has anyone pasted in the docket yet?
Yeah, I think I have.
Okay.
Thanks, David.
You did paste in there? Oh, oops. Hold on here. I was pasting my stuff in the wrong location. Okay, so I think the action items for that is, maybe we should write that down in the doc. Action item.
The sizing recommendation is different from the SCD one.
What?
You've added a sublist to the sizing recommendation document started. That item, this is an SCD one.
Oh, okay. I thought you had the, okay.
Yeah. I'll paste the document on there.
Do you want to review that document once I get the link, Wojtek? The etcd upgrade document?
I didn't have time yet to read it, so maybe that would be a waste of time to read it now. Maybe we should do it next week.
Okay.
What do you think?
Sure, that seems reasonable. I'll just have an action item to review it.
Yeah, I will. I've also like added an entry in my calendar to make sure that I will actually read it.
And ultimately, where will this document land? Is it in
It's got to be in the Kubernetes docs repository.
Okay.
So it's got to be like front page headlines. This is like how you do the upgrade. There's probably going to be a blog post and everything else along with it too.
The other thing I wanted to mention, kind of along the lines of this, is the size and recommendation document I have there. It's basically brainstorming at this point, but you can take a look at it. Any ideas, anything else you'd like to add on it will be appreciated. But please do take a look. Still very.
Yeah, so it seems like, you know, we're basically enqueuing things to do for the next meeting.
Exactly.
That's not bad.
Not at all.
I think one of the things I wanted to start doing here, let's see if I can actually get it going. Are there comments or questions, concerns about any of that? No, silence is acceptance. Everyone thinks it's awesome. Yay, documents. The one thing I wanted to start doing and see if other people think it's a good idea or not, or at least try this time. Let's see if I can even find my window here. I started triaging, and other folks have too, to use the labeling. This is the one. Boom, boom, boom. So, wait a second here. Can you guys still see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
And, all right, you see the controller manager spending a lot of times in deployments?
Yep.
Okay. So, you know, to start looking down on some of the items that have like, you know, higher priority or have certain labels attached to them, to see if we can kind of execute against them to get them done in a cycle. Right? Because right now, a lot of the time, things fly through the radar. And as a SIG, we don't necessarily triage and backlog and disseminate and, you know, delegate some of the items, which I think, you know, going forwards, it'd be useful because then you get a better visibility across the larger audience, right? So like this one came in from the community and makes perfect sense on the state. So he's running a bunch of deployments. He's running 2,500 deployments, and it's basically like destroying his controller manager. And he's only got 25 nodes. That's a heck of a lot of deployments. That's like 100 per node. But
yeah, so it's not very surprising to me. Probably also it depends on how big master machine or how big machine where the controller manager is running, but it's not super surprising to me.
No, it's not.
Which is not running, or exactly the topics which is not running. So like we probably should work on enabling those tests.
All right. So I have some cycles. I can investigate this. Does anyone else want to look at this one too? Because I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of, as I mentioned before, our tests are kind of are missing the other resource objects.
Tim, to be clear, what you're suggesting is that we spend some of this time to do some review of these
triaging. Yes.
Okay. Issues. Sorry.
Does that seem reasonable to folks?
I think that sounds like a great idea, to be honest with you. I mean, we should be beholden to this now.
Yep.
And we do have that label, so.
So by triaging, you mean assigning bugs to people or something different?
Priorities?
Both priority and assigning bugs.
Okay. How many individuals we have here? 7? Okay. So how many do you suggest we do at each meeting? Or
Well, it depends what comes in and what gets filtered out, right? Like right now, the list currently is 90 items, right? And there's no way we can go through all of this, right? But the idea of starting to get a hold of this backlog and actually execute against it, so that way we're not, what's visible inside of the repository actually, trends towards 0.
Do we want to have do you want this to have to be only like these like minor things, or also like major stuff that eventually you want to do, like whatever, carrying the serialized motto together with or whatever the deserialized JSON object, so we won't need to go, sorry, not JSON, but Go structure to whatever reduce the number of translations or memory allocations we do, or only the smaller, like very concrete ones?
Well, I think we should probably do both, shouldn't we? I mean, like, I think the chart, the goal, like we were kind of ad hoc before and a little bit Wild Westy, but I think as we start to formalize processes around SIGs, having a triage and communications pattern so that way other people can get involved and work on it is a reasonable thing to do. So that way, no one group of people, somebody can get hit by a bus and the SIG will still continue, right?
Yes.
I agree. Good idea. We might want to time box it though, depending on what our schedule looks like. But yeah,
I think right now maybe what we do today is just kind of like agree that we should start doing this, and maybe by next time we have like a more prioritized list.
Sure.
Maybe we could just take this query, paste it into the doc, and
it might be a good idea also to keep a document open about like what things we have triaged, what items we looked at, and like what the resolution or what the assignments are.
Well, I'd rather just use the system.
Okay, you just want to use GitHub then.
Yeah, I think it's too much work and too many places to update, and it will finally like be out of date anyway. So I agree that we should just use GitHub.
That's fair.
Do we have label triage or something? So like, or we will have other way to actually mark the triage issues?
I think milestone gives it a triage, right? If I say it's on a milestone, that means that somebody's going to look at it. Without the milestone, it basically means like, all right.
No, but this means something like triaged and deemed important. But this is also like triaged and deemed like minor, so not needed.
I think the priority label may also be.
Yep, I think there's two things to. Well, maybe the discussion today is how we do triaging, right? Maybe using milestone and priority seems to be the way that we could assign or triage the items, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, this is how I did it for SIG scheduling, right? This is how we operated there.
I might have missed this, but did you mention how we're going to label something as already triaged?
That those two items have to be filled in, priority and milestone. Okay. And if the easy way to escape.
The problem with milestone is that I think we have only current milestone, which means that if it doesn't fit 1.6, we can't really put it.
Well, there is the next milestone with quotes. You can't see my face. I'm doing air quotes. But the next milestone is one that you could use. And that would basically allow us to say like, the priority would have to be like not be critical.
Yeah.
And that way it could be
like once 1.6 is out, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, looks like we're forming a good process here.
Yeah, this is what I did. This is exactly what I did for SIG scheduling. And what was kind of interesting about it is the community, go away. The community just started taking items off the list, just random people, right? Like all of a sudden IBM showed up and started doing stuff, right?
Yeah.
They were taking items off the list and just executing against them, which I think is great. But that way it gives a visibility into what we're doing and allows us to execute. We got crap in here that's like old milestones, right? 1.5.
Yeah, on the other hand, like I kind of worry that SIG scheduling is just like the sexy SIG. So
Is the what?
it's a sexy SIG. Like it has scheduling in the name.
Yeah, but like, with enough Twitter.
We'll see.
I think if we can have a clean process and we start to do like PSA announcements, I think we can incorporate other people, because I think scalability is also sexy for some people, right? For some definition of sexy, I don't know. For people who like this thing, right?
Air quotes again.
Exactly, air quotes again. So I think that's some people will really be interested in it. So how does this sound? Like we can take a stab at trying to get like the initial, people can maybe break it up and start triaging some of these items, or do we want to do a triage together for some of them?
I think we should do some of them together, just a couple here or a few.
Right.
Get the process, get the process and understand how to do it.
All right.
Also,
So,
who has the rights to do labels right now? Who can put on labels? Is anybody here?
yeah, I can.
Okay.
So
I think I can. I don't know.
yeah, you can.
Well, I was able to. They removed me from some groups as I know.
No, I think that you only
Okay.
can't merge now,
Okay.
but you should be.
So Wojtek, you want to give an overview of this one?
About which one?
Oh, did my screen not update? It says optimize resource quantity size operation.
No, sorry. So I think that this should be closed. Basically, I thought that I found something in the profile, but I was wrong. So maybe we shouldn't waste time on it. I will write an explanation and close it.
Okay. Should I just close it here?
I've opened it today, then I discussed briefly with Clayton, and it seems that this doesn't, what I wrote there, it doesn't make any sense. So yeah.
Okay, I'll just close and then the description can write afterwards. Okay, bing, bing. GitHub's slow as sin sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, and I see the fourth point it's about KubeMark. One thing I wanted to bring up is that we by I mean Shyam, will be working on tool that compares the results that we get from KubeMark and from the real clusters. And we probably would like to discuss it with the SIG at some point, when the proposal is ready.
Okay.
A few week or two.
So just as a point of triaging, right? So do you think this is priority critical urgent?
No longer. It was the problem was that when I filed this bug, that basically was in the situation when KubeMark 500 was failing every third run or so.
Yep.
And we reverted one PR, which fixed the problem. So it's no longer critical. It's probably should be. To be honest, I've closed this issue at some point, but Marek reopened it because it was Shyam's PR and he is debugging it why it broke everything. But this definitely is no longer
it's not
urgent.
critical. Yes, it's not urgent. It's important because this was the PR that actually refactored KubeMark and make it possible to run on non-GCE environments. So, it's really strange that it causes any problems. It's basically changes the setup with the way we set up the thing, basically moves things around.
Mhm.
And for some reason, the performance was terrible.
Okay. So for a milestone, do you think this is going to be done for 1.6?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
But the
Yay,
priority should be, I don't know,
I
like,
don't remember the P1 or something. Or P2.
well, they got rid of those, so now it's
yeah, I
prior.
know, whatever P2 means right now.
I think important long term is P2 now, right?
Maybe.
yes, I think that makes sense.
Okay. So I added one. The caching defaults are too much black magic. I know that in I added this like, oh gosh, stop. No. There's like reports that we have on our side for like smaller clusters with the deserialization cache. That's only matters for etcd2. And I know that was originally 50K, and then you added a magic number generator, Wojtek, which was the node size, right? So that's only for the deserialization cache, and that goes away with v3. But the watch cache is also in that space, right?
Yes, I agree.
But I don't necessarily think this is, I think this is important long term, right? I don't think it needs to be done today. I don't think it
Yes.
needs to be done on V3, this milestone either. So
Yes,
maybe
it would be great to have it, but I agree that it's not critical. Like nothing will be broken if it's not done. Maybe the code freeze time is a good time to think about it, and yeah, but I agree with you in general. Yes.
All right. So this might be a cleanup.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah. All right. The Kubernetes API extremely slow to trigger scale and scheduling. I have no idea what that means.
Yeah, and who's the nerds?
I don't know.
Well, we'll find out soon.
No.
Lately, I've noticed the Kubernetes response time becoming very slow on certain actions. Actions like getting, deleting, describing are instant as always, but scaling or applying a new deployment can take up to 5 minutes to go through. This sounds very similar to the deployment problem.
Is this configurable?
To go through. It's hard to pinpoint exactly where it became slow. I'm inclined to say this is a boiling frog situation where it started to creep up on us, but I've been convinced that it had been an issue of 1.4x versions. I think this is worthy to have somebody dig into.
Do we have an SLO on this, by the way?
Important soon. Probably
No.
like it should be done for 1.6.
Or at least understood, yes.
At least understood for 1.6.
So important soon. Who's going to work on it? Bueller?
I don't have like any cycles for the next week.
I may have like later, but not within the next day, so maybe.
So, and as like you're here, like I will use like as you're also in SIG scheduling. Who is the best person to ask for review for the forgiveness stuff?
David is the blocker for that stuff, right? So
Yeah.
I looked over it, but David has very opinionated views on how he wants things to be done, right? Like and rightfully so. I took a look over it, and I took a look over Kevin's PR too. But
Okay.
I'm not going to. I'll take a look at your PR. I took initial look, but I'll take another gander.
Sure, thanks. Like I just like David is the guy. If that's the answer, I will ask in David.
Yeah. Okay. I wish there was like a non-assignee. Maybe that's another aspect of if it doesn't have an assignee. Maybe we'll do one more.
We shouldn't assign to people because then people from community may want to come and pick it up.
That's true. I actually kind of like that idea. if there are items unassigned, then you can pick them up. I like that. And we can send out PSAs about that.
Yep.
Maybe we'll do one more and then call it a day. And then as an action item to maybe I can do what I did for the other SIG and kind of sort it, put some things on it and some labels, and then next week we'll only triage the ones that are new.
Are you
Okay. I can also try helping with triaging the existing one for next week.
I know the RBAC stuff you said took a lot of extra memory. I've been following this, but I have not dug into it.
So I think that it might, because I filed this issue when we were still hitting a bunch of permission denied errors. So maybe we should actually verify if it's still the case. So maybe verifying where we are with that is like relatively important, but potentially fixing it might not be.
But if it uses a lot of memory, it certainly should be fixed for 1.6, right? It's like we are enabling our drive.
Yes. Yes, maybe we should like put
Important soon, or
1.6 milestone, and if that's not significant amount of memory, a significant amount of allocation, then just potentially close this issue.
Hey Tim, where will you have the PSA about available things to work on?
Kubernetes dev.
Okay, got it.
Right. And also, I'll probably Twitter it too, because that's
okay. And also your intent that once we've triaged this on this forum, you will then go back and add labels to the things we've triaged? Is that what you said you were doing?
No, the items that are not triaged, like we'll go through it and triage some of them, right? So I think the purpose of us doing triaging as a group is that if new items come inbound, right, that maybe some of us had looked at, but not the whole group isn't even aware of it yet. The new inbound items get group-wide visibility, right?
Makes sense, yeah.
Okay.
Right. So.
Okay, I need to run, so hopefully we are finishing now.
Yeah, and also like when I finish this forgiveness thingy, we need to get back to the SLO definition.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, but I'm not back into the forgiveness, but I think it's coming to an end soonish.
Okay.
So after that, I will hopefully have some pre-cycles.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
See you.
Later.
Bye.